If I reminded you that you are perfect, would you argue me down or step into your perfection? Welcome to Perfect Mode, where there are no excuses, no expectations, and we explore the world without limitations. I'm JClay, rapper, the spiritual teacher, with my co-host Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. Let's be real, so let's be perfect. Everything, anything, many things, plenty things, perfect. Everything, anything, many things, plenty things, perfect mode. Everything, anything, many things, plenty things, perfect mode. Everything, anything, many things, plenty things, perfect mode. Perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode. Everything, anything, many things, plenty things, perfect mode, perfect mode. Everything, anything, many things, plenty things, perfect mode.
Perfect.
What up? Welcome to Perfect Mode. And first, let me start by telling y'all that we love y'all. We're grateful for the opportunity to be anywhere, sharing our thoughts, hopefully, and helping you realize that you are perfect. And the reason why I can say that unapologetically is because I know that you are one of one, numero uno. You cannot be duplicated, replicated. And the only reason, and I mean the only reason you think otherwise is if you're looking at this person next to you and saying, I'm not him. But guess what? You are you. And that's all you need. And of course, it's yours truly, Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. And I have my boy JClay, spiritual rapper and teacher. And we about to jump on here and talk about the gift of darkness, misconceptions, and truths. Man, we got to get it right. And, you know, let me tell you something about darkness. It's the craziest thing that my screen is dark right now. And you would think that, Jay, that it's not going to be nothing for real coming from this dark screen. But guess what? I'm still here, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, that's great. Like, that's crazy. Like, we this wasn't a planned thing that his screen is darkness and my screen is light. But man, this actually is perfect for this conversation because there are a lot of misconceptions and truths about darkness. Like darkness, it gets a bad rep. Like a lot of people fear darkness. It's rooted in craziness. It's rooted like at nighttime. They say freaks come out at night and just all this crazy stuff happens in darkness. And that's not entirely true. And I really want to flesh it out and talk about it.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, again, just kind of reiterate the whole point. This is not planned. I really am having technical difficulties, but the reality of it is generally these type of things that we would dictate as darkness or blackness or where we are right now will stop us or stop the momentum from us moving forward and being as great as we know that we can be. But, you know, I love the fact that it's going on. Doesn't mean I'm not going to try to fix this screen while we're doing this, but just I had to go ahead and hit that. But Jay, where were you at when you first came up with this topic?
Yeah, so it kind of came when I was walking. You know, when I walk, I just kind of just get ideas and stuff. I flesh stuff out in my mind. And the first thing I was thinking about was the statement "I am." Statement "I am," like it's a powerful statement. I think even biblically, like God said, "I am," or "I am that I am," and just "I am" in itself is a very powerful statement. But I was thinking about it. To say "I am" is to not really be that amness that you're saying that you are. And let me explain, because I know this might get a little philosophical. So to say "I am," you're saying I am this state of being, this state where I'm just being, of beingness. I'm aware. But then the question becomes, what's the I that you're saying that you are? So it's like, okay, again, am I my body? No, my body always changes. It's constantly changing, losing cells, producing new cells, but I'm still me. Am I my thoughts and feelings? Nah, they come and go. I might think this one day, might change my whole belief the next day, yet I'm still me. I'm still this me that I've always been. You might think, oh, okay, is it my experiences? Nah, because sometimes you see your experiences through a new light and they take on a whole different meaning. So it's like, okay, what's this "I am" that I am? And really the "I am" that is being is you're observing your state of being. You're observing yourself that has always been throughout all of this. So you're no longer the beer, you're the observer. And so I started thinking about the connection between the two of like the light and the darkness, or the conscious and the unconscious, and how they're one and the same. Like the light is responsible for bringing out what's in the dark, or the conscious is responsible for bringing out the unconscious, which is always there waiting to be discovered in a sense. And so this kind of takes on a new light when you think about what darkness really is and the purpose of it. But go ahead.
It's fun. It's funny though. I know no pun intended, but it brings on a new light. I like that phraseology anyway. But that's the funny thing that, for me, we subconsciously look at unknown as darkness. We subconsciously feel like things that we don't know. We can kind of give it a negative outlook without having a true understanding or full understanding of what it could be. And again, I just think about all the things that I try to take on in life that I've never experienced before. It's been plenty times when I was going after a new accomplishment or a new task, and the first thing that came to my mind was something that was in opposition of me, or something negative, or what resistance I was going to be met with. And that was all because the darkness or the unknownness of it has been programmed in me to believe that there is something there that's going to stop me. And when I think about it, even again, I hate to use the obvious as an example, but how this show is going to go with my screen being the way that it is. Shouts out to Kamari. I appreciate you joining us today. But I'm definitely with you on that, Jay. Go ahead.
Yeah, and you touched on it when you said the unknown. Like, we are to embrace the unknown because that's where creation happens. It's like you're bringing it to the light. You're bringing that which is almost minuscule, but it's just waiting to be discovered. And you get to kind of pluck it out and pull it out, so to speak. So in a way, you are to embrace darkness because that's the new way of doing things. Like a lot of times people like to do what's familiar. Like, oh yeah, I've done this. I've always done it this way. My mom did it. Her mom did it. My dad did it. His dad did it, and so on for generations. And we get stuck in this mindset because that's what was known. But before that, it was unknown. Somebody brought it out of their imagination. Somebody kind of just pulled it out of that seemingly nothingness. Now, similar to the darkness, nothingness takes on where you're like, it's nothing. It doesn't exist. No. It's just saying that it's no thing. Like it's not physical in nature. So it takes on a light of nothing, but it's really like at our core, we are no thing. We can't be defined. We can't be quantified in any logical way. We are that which gets to be experienced if we tune into that and draw it out. Like even education means to draw out from within. If we educate ourselves on ourselves, we get to bring out that aspect of the nothingness that's just waiting to be just ours and serve us so that we can reflect that to the world.
Okay, so just to kind of, align with the purpose of our show, it's easier said than done, is the saying that we would normally go with. But when you talk about aligning yourself, where does that start from? How do you get to the point where, again, I always, we always draw back to meditation. We always, I always talk about self-talk. I always talk about these things that, to kind of reinforce what I want. But at the same time, whenever that dark screen first presents itself, the inside of me automatically goes to where I don't want it to be. And so I guess what are some initial steps that we can get into in order to start to build upon the self-awareness and understanding and hearing what you're saying and overcoming that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And one of the things is acceptance. We speak on this a lot, but it's true. It's accepting that, for whatever reason, your camera doesn't work right now. So just accepting that, and what we're doing, we're going on with the show. But not only that, accepting that you see the world uniquely. Like you see the world in a certain way that nobody else can ever see it. You can explain your piece as many times as you want, but people still might not see it. But that doesn't mean that they can't be overjoyed by it, that they can't learn something about themselves by it, because you're showing an aspect of themselves, of that united no thingness that they don't get to see. And we get to be that mirror to each other. We get to show that to each other. So by you not accepting who you are, you're not really drawing out all the things that make you. And on the contrary, you are, how do I say, you're being someone, you're trying to be your interpretation of someone else, not even someone else, but your interpretation of someone else by not accepting who you are and the things that you bring to this world.
Yeah, so and I know you probably picked up I can hear it myself. Let if you could mute your boy over there real quick.
All right, here we go. Oh, wait, hold on. We can't hear you now. Unmute yourself. Give me a second. This screen is on, but the camera isn't. So let me bring you back in. Hold on. All right, say something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So cool. Yeah. I just need to turn these down over here. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that works. So yeah,
to
the
that
other one
point,
has
man.
your audio, and this one has your video. Let's do it.
Hey, we make it work however we make it work. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But I love what you were saying, and I love the fact of that. And the reality for me is, like I said, it's like subconscious in nature. Again, because I've been practicing it for so long, my entire life, where it's almost automatic that whenever I'm approaching a new street, uh, I feel like, okay, well, maybe that street's gonna have too many potholes on it. Let me see if there's another route that I can take. But the times when I've been able to overcome and I've been able to turn on that street and realize, well, hey, it wasn't as rough or it wasn't as bumpy as I thought it was gonna be. It's been way more gratifying to just not even just going down the street, just to overcome that resistance that I had within myself in order just to see past the darkness that I was, I guess presenting. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and one thing I did want to say at the beginning too is just about that nothingness or nothingness, and even akin to the darkness. So like we always hear that we're abundant, right? We come from an abundant father. There's nothing but abundance here for everyone. And so I was thinking, I was contemplating, like, what's the thing that there's more of than anything? Like, what's something you can put into a cup that no matter how much of it you put in, you still have more room to put an infinite amount in it? Like, what can you put in your hand infinitely? And the thing that I came up with again is nothing. But again, it's not nothing. It's no thing. Like think about space. Space is a vast amount of no thing, but it's still there. Like that. And when we bring things to the light, when we bring out elements of ourselves, there's enough of that unconscious stuff. There's enough of that dark stuff that it's enough for everybody to live the life that they want to be without competing with others in other spaces. And I'm not sure how to explain it in such a way where, like, because it's hard when you don't see nothing as something. But it is that something that you get to pull out of thin air. Is almost like, okay, I'll say this: when I make a
Yeah.
song, when I choose to make a song, the song didn't exist before that. Well, no, that's not safe to say. The song existed before that, but in an unconscious state. And all I did was align with the consciousness of it to bring it out, to bring it to the world. Now I get the credit as the one who created the song, but it's like, no, everything already exists. Everything is already there. So your job is just to tune into what you want and believe that it will be drawn out and brought to the light for you to experience.
Man, and so the reason why I dropped off too, just in the spirit of your words and in the spirit of what we're talking about, is me trying to be resistant to what is. And it's funny how you can get these lessons in real time, but not even pay attention to them. And I think this is a part of the reason why we experience what we experience on a daily basis. It gives us our opportunity to grow, and it's funny. The topic is the gift of darkness, and yet and still, even in the words that I speak, even in the you know even in the belief that I have, I would still fight it. And I think that's a big part of who we are. It's not who we have to be. And I like the fact when you talk about when you try to fill your hand up with something that's infinite and it's nothing. But yet and still, when you really just think about it, there's resistance in you saying that there's still nothing in my hand, like nothing is nothing. And I know that sounds crazy, and I know you know what I'm saying, but we have to stop being resistant. There has to be a level of gratitude. There has to be a level of acceptance. There has to be a level of understanding that just because I've trained myself that I have to see something or I have to feel something, that it has to, if it's not, if it's not what I'm accustomed to, then it's not good or it's not there. And you know, that's a big challenge. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and I want to read what Sis said. No thing is something because you cannot quantify the reality of your existence, but we know we have value because we are somebody adding to the quality of life. Yes, definitely. And with that, so okay, this is the reason we have competition. Reason we have competition is because we may think in terms of limits. Like there's only a finite number of this, so I have to try to be the best within these parameters. But even within that, even within fixed limits, there's still an infinite amount of nothingness. Which is why, like in sports, we always talk about basketball. Some of the sports giants are people who've done it in a way that has never been done before. So much so that even when people try to emulate, it's still no competition to them because they're already ahead in their own lane. Like Steph Curry, for an example. Nobody thought about just shooting threes all the time, or I'll say nobody thought about it enough where it compelled them to bring it out. It compelled them to practice this as part of their game. It compelled them to do it in the actual game. And now, so many people are emulating it, and we see it. We see it throughout in just every industry where somebody is a disruptor, but really they're just bringing out the infiniteness that's within them, which we all have the power to do. And they did it in such a way that everybody said, "Okay, I'm not going to do what they did from within. I'm going to do what they did from without." And they try to be them instead of being themselves.
And again, the proof is always in the pudding, bro. I know you tried not to go biblical, but everything came from no thing or from nothing, right? Yeah. And we always think about things from a grand scale, but we don't realize that taking the Bible out of the picture, taking God out of the picture, everything great that we love came from within of someone, from nothing. And I'm gonna shout my dad out real quick. One day, I don't know if you remember this. We was talking about sales or something, and he said, you're doing something when you can sell something from nothing, right? Yeah. Like you don't have to. There doesn't have to be a physical thing for you to necessarily sell it, and that's one of the reasons why I've always loved music, because it's been a true testament to us where we've made something that only I can provide or only you can provide, walked on the street and made money from it, just like an artist. But I mean, it's the same thing when you use Steph Curry as an example. I mean, people have shot the ball from the time of the inception of basketball, but he's only done it his way, and that's the beautiful thing about it. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and if we can just trust ourselves more, if we can just go out and make friends with the unknown, and I know it's when you start to do it, it's going to seem scary, just like the darkness always seems scary until you turn on the light and you're like, oh, that's just a pile of clothes over there. It's nothing to be afraid of. And that's what it feels like when you step into the unknown and embrace it. You start to see that, oh, this is nothing to be afraid of. This has everything within it that I've ever wanted to experience. Even from the standpoint of at night when we go to sleep. In the darkness, it allows us to dream. It allows us to fill up those empty spaces with things that are within, like, oh, this is how I would like my world to be. I can imagine myself doing this. I can imagine a world where I experience this and that. And it's easier to cultivate while in the dark. And in the light, you get to experience your creations. And so it's a perfect balance, but we have to make sure we are acknowledging the other half of that as well.
And I want to shout out to Himlao real quick. Shout out Himlao. Yeah. And then I also want to go back to Kamari. And she said, I guess we can ask why we do what we do. What is our intention? And something else that I want to mention as well, Jay, is we can't always trust what we see. we can't always trust what we see. Like, and I want to give you the prime example, man. And I was just telling you about this. I went back and I was uploading videos from years ago, from 2019, of my son, and it's a video of him playing basketball when he's about to turn 8 years old. Now, I want to tell you, before I uploaded or re-looked at this video, my mind's eye told me something completely different. Like I couldn't even have imagined what I saw in the video. And that's only because I had something new to compare it to. And so what happens is I look at this video and I see TJ playing basketball. Now, mind you, when this was actually happening real time, I swore this is the this is the coldest 8-year-old that I could ever see playing basketball. And I also remembered it that way. The most important key here is I remembered it that way. And so when I saw the video back and I compared him to my 6-year-old kid, I realized that I projected something that I wanted it to be, and it wasn't necessarily the truth. Now, the same thing can apply to Brody now with me imagining what I've seen of him. But the reality of it is there's always a new path to be created. There's also always a new nothingness to become something, in a sense, if you allow that to be the truth. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. And the way I see it, again, it's like millions upon trillions and billions little nothings just waiting to be brought out. It's like a seed almost. It's like the seed of something that's waiting to be cultivated and grown. And what you said about like how you remember things is reality is too late. Like, whatever we see right now is too late. It's done. No, it's done. It's almost like a painting. It's a finished painting. And if we keep going back to that blank canvas, we can always create a new. Like, it doesn't even matter the paintings we painted before. We can always create a new when we go back to that blank canvas. So, which is why, in meditation, a lot of people close their eyes, because you get to truly see. Like, you're not seeing what's already been here. You get to see what lies within that you get to bring out and be the embodiment of.
I gotta bring it back one more time for you, baby. This boy said reality is too late. Reality is the finished canvas. Bro, like bro, that's a fire line for the week. You know what I'm saying? But that is the truth, though. And again, the craziest thought of it for me is reality is taking away all the darkness. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's taking away like every imaginatory thought that you could have. If you're only looking at the finished artwork, is gone. And bro, you hit that fire. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, but and it's so true though. Like, and we get so caught up in what's too late and making it real. We say, man, this is like this. This means that. This means that. And again, we're reversing the cause and effect. They're one, but again, we're making the effect the new cause instead of allowing the cause to be the cause, which is us. We are the cause. We get to paint reality in every moment. And I know that sounds like a big task. It's like, wait, how? I don't know how to do that. Even though you don't know how to do it, you're already doing it with your thoughts. You're already doing it with your beliefs and the actions that you take, which shows the faith that you have in your beliefs. And so like that's why it's important, again, to mind your thoughts, watch your thoughts, and then you get to dictate your own thoughts instead of just taking what's handed to you. But you also get to tune in to that higher consciousness, that higher state of being that exists in the seemingly dark that you get to bring to the light.
I want to read what Sis Kamaria said as well. She said, seeing is not always believing, because in the word believe is lie. This is why we must think for ourselves. For your heart, in the word heart, is the word hear. I listen to the reality, and that's real. Spitting fire, hot fire on the show today. We definitely appreciate you. And man, you don't even know how taken back I am. And again, these are all principles. This is all understanding that I have, but also the reinforcing of it and being able to see it real time is always a great thing, or realize it real time is a great thing. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, I'm always amazed when I'm falling asleep, and because I dream every time I sleep, and I dream the instant I fall asleep, and sometimes I can hear something so clear and see something so clear that it wakes myself up, and I'm like, wait, was this real? Was this in reality or not? And it how do I say this? We don't acknowledge that power. Like, we don't acknowledge our power of creation when it comes to our dreams. But really, in a sense, that's a practice realm of reality. It's almost like reality is the shared dream, but it's not. It's not technically shared because we don't see reality the same. I mean, like, we may agree on certain things, like the color blue is the color blue because we're referencing the same image from our standpoint, but how you see blue could be how I see rocks. You know what I mean? Like, it is, we see how we see, but we get to imprint our vision on reality, our stamp on reality. We get to project it like it's a blank canvas, a projection screen.
And but see, and that's the thing that most of us don't realize, or most people don't realize, is that we are the strongest believers, regardless of how you want to interpret that or not, because everything that you have, you believe that you can have and should have. And you reinforce that over and over again when you choose not to look outside of yourself. And I want to shout out to sis again. She says, I love the chemistry. You both have it. It's the yielding for me.
Appreciate it.
No, I appreciate that for real. It's trust me, it's a lot of it's something that I like to call the hybrid, and Jay know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But again, that's another beautiful thing in the relationship. There's so much darkness that I know that I can't realize unless I allow him to shine the light on it for me. And I think it's the same thing, vice versa. And I mean, I think that's also another tip in when we talk about the gift of darkness and the misconceptions of it. Like, I understand that you could look at someone and not feel like they have light or knowledge to give you because of circumstances, because of history. But if you open yourself, and I'm not saying that it's the same for me and Jay. Me and Jay didn't even start out as friends. We started out as rivals, good rivals at that. But the reality of it was we both were open to the vision of another person, so that way that darkness can look different to us, different than what we perceived initially. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. There's this exercise I've done before, and y'all probably may have done it or something similar, where they tell you to bend over and touch your toes, or touch as far as you can touch. Because I know some people can touch their toes, some can't, or extend far on the ground. And then they said, okay, now get back up and close your eyes and see yourself going farther than you went the previous time. And I did it, and I went way farther than I went the previous time. And they said, now do it again, because you might think, well, okay, now you're loose, you stretched, go farther this time. And then I saw it in my mind's eye, and I did it again. I went even farther in reality, because again, it's already done in my imagination. And if I believe in myself, like literally, if I believe in myself, it doesn't matter what the world is doing, because they're going to concede to your image, because that's all it is anyway. It's a mirror of what you're projecting or extending to the world.
I like to think of people that's working out, that have are trying to get in shape, and myself being included. And again, I'm glad you brought up the stretching exercise example, because I think about running, and I always think about before I ran for certain lengths or certain amounts of time, and on the other side of that run, I thought I was gonna die, right? And in that run, that's what my thought was. That's the darkness that I was like, if I run that long, I'm going to die. And then in that, I would tell myself, well, let's just get over the hill and just see where we go. Just one more minute, you can make it one more minute. Just 2 more minutes, you can make it 2 more minutes. Just 3 more minutes. Like, if you can get to this next 4 minutes, man, you really got like 30 minutes. And again, if I go back to the beginning of it, the darkness, the misconception of me dying, or me not being able to make it, or me being is super exhausted. The funniest part is going through that darkness, I'm never tired. My mind is occupied by getting to the next step, because I made the decision that that was not the darkness that I was going to live in. And then again, getting to the end, so gratifying, so much love for myself. And I think that goes back to what you're saying by the identifying who you are, getting back to the self and the nothingness within you, because now I was able to feel that with belief, or feel that with joy, or feel that with accomplishment, and it turned the tide of what was going on. But go ahead, Jay.
Right. In both instances of your example, you painted a picture over the so-called darkness. At first, you painted a picture of dying, like it's
Man, yep.
impossible, can't nobody do that, and you're painting that picture and you're believing it, you're living it, you're embodying that because that's what you chose to bring from within. But then you said, you know what? No, that's not what I want my reality to be. I can make it. I'm going to focus on me making it. I'm going to see myself taking those steps, being happily trotting or running as fast as I can to make it to this next checkpoint, and I'm gonna like it. And again, you're painting that picture over and over again. Neither way is right or wrong. It's just that you have a choice and you're aware of this choice. So since you're aware, you're like, well, why not have the reality that I really want? Why am I settling for giving up my power of creation, which is still creating? And but go ahead.
No. Super tight. And that's the question. So we're going back to, Kamaria's question earlier. She said, what is our intention? And so I will rephrase that with, what are you filling your darkness with? What are you filling that darkness with? What are you saying? And again, we've been talking about painting a picture all day, but sometimes you don't know what that picture is supposed to look like. Even in my example, I painted a picture because I didn't know what the picture was supposed to look like. And along the journey, I kept changing the picture. I kept painting over what I thought that was supposed to be. And for you and for everybody, the question is, what am I going to fill this with? And how do you get to filling it with what you actually want versus the things that you don't? Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. So, okay. Before I try to answer that, because I think that's a question everybody has to answer for themselves. I was thinking about, like, we've all seen the yin yang symbol, right? Like,
Yep.
one part is white, one part is black. But then even in the white part, there's a black circle, and even in the black part, it's a white circle. And I was thinking about how it's all connected. So think about a dark world and a light world, right? You would think the dark world is filled with turmoil and all this just angst and other stuff, but no, there's a deep peace, a deep calm, just like state of being, like it's just so relaxed. It's nice, comfortable, dark. So then you experience the light and you say, oh, I want to step out into it. I want to step out into this light world. And you start, I guess, pulling yourself away from the darkness into the light. Now, when you're in the space in between, so to speak, you get to fill your world with lights and shadows and things. And so you can see grotesque figures if that's the painting you choose to pick to paint. But when you get to a space of light where everything is light, your light, you can't distinguish your light from the others, that's where it shares the same properties as the dark. Because if everything is dark and you share your properties with others, you can't distinguish yourself. Like, there's oneness in all of it. And we don't realize that the part that both plays in our lives. And it's not the dark. It's not dark as in evil or anything. It's just, it's a peaceful dark. And then, like, the light is more of a joyful light, but it's still the same peace that exists in both.
No, so what's funny, or what that makes me think of, it made me think of my perception, or how I feel, or how I paint my picture of rain. And the only reason I bring this up is because I've heard many people say this to me before. I don't like the rain. It's depressing. It makes me feel, it gets my mood down. And, in my own mind's eye, you heard me say this, I love the rain. Rain relaxes me. Rain makes me feel good. Rain gives me the best sleep. And, if you put me next to one of these people, and in that given time or that given moment, you can literally see the different dynamic in our being in that moment, right? And again, bringing it back to every moment mattering, not the reality of it, but knowing that you can change any given moment, any given time, and make it be exactly what you want. Because in those moments, I'm gonna give you an example. I used to sit next to before me and my wife got married. We worked together, and we worked at Chase Bank. And I was people would say that you what they call a teacher's pet. I mean, I wasn't there's no teacher there, but I was a good guy at work. Like, I did everything right. I followed all the rules, and I didn't care about none of the negative stuff that was going on, right? So I get on the phone. When I get out the phone, we get the 10-minute break. I'm off and I'm back on in 10 minutes, no matter what. I'm not gonna miss it. And I remember my wife and all the other people that we were cool with be like, man, they be tripping up here. This is crazy, And I would always hear it, but it never registered for me. I would just keep doing what I'm doing, right? And then one day I said, they do be tripping up here. And it changed the whole dynamic of what I thought about work. It became dark. It became a different place for me. And I had to navigate within so now this is when that darkness turns into something completely different, and you start to feed it, you start to build upon it. So again, if you give darkness that negative connotation or that negative feel, it will multiply just like the light can. But go ahead, Jay.
Yes. So how I think of it too is like, okay, a lot of us start off in a family. Well, I mean, whether it's our biological family or not, just even if you're wherever you are, you start off with people around you and a way of seeing life, and you all are kind of united in that way of seeing life. So you can say that y'all are all dark or all light. It doesn't matter. You're all one, which is the
Real
most
talk.
important thing. But then someone gets enlightened, they get inspired, and they start to do things a little bit differently. And they're like, oh, I can do it like this. This is the way I want to express myself. And so what happens is there's a separation that is visible, but it's not a real separation. It's just an imagined separation of light and darkness if people are choosing to stay with what they already know, or if they're choosing to embrace the unknown. So the one that's now in the light, you can say in a way they're surrounded by darkness because they're painting their own picture, but in reality it's the opposite. Even from the point of the family that's still together, that's not doing those crazy things, you can say that they're in the light, but in some sense they're in the dark as well. So it's just a funny dichotomy how the illusion of separation happens, but how it's still all the same, and everyone just experiencing the things that they're inspired to do, or as the channel of things to bring light to.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that is a real good point. And man, okay, so to each his own is what we're talking about here. That's how I took it. To each his
Yeah.
own. And the reality of it is, it was darkness for me, right? And but that was only based off of what I'm wanting for my life. So that's why I want to bring it back to each individual person. And the again, it's easy to look at others and perceive that to be the light. It's easy to look at others and perceive that's the way to go. But the reality of it is, it may not be for you. That could lead you into darkness, a darkness that you don't want. And again, whether dark or light doesn't really matter in this instance. But when I think about darkness, when I think about approaching the place that I've never been, that's I'm going to be dissuaded from moving forward with whatever I'm trying to accomplish. It doesn't necessarily apply to each individual person, because you're right. When I think back about that scenario that I gave you earlier, me sitting next to my wife and all my friends, they were having a time of their life. They were exuberant, they were happy, they were joyous. They didn't have they could have thought before, and again, I don't know this, man, if we don't listen to the rule, or if we don't do this, these are the things that are going to happen to me. But the reality was, they went ahead and lived the way that they wanted to live, and was able to be in a space of joy, because I know that they were full of joy. They were not miserable like me when I accepted what was not of me. And I want to read what Kamari said as well. There are people who look light, and there are people who look light and live in the dark. Seeing is not always believing. Look for the light within you. And that's the point that I'm making too. They are in a light based off of what they're wanting. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I think go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and I don't know if people remember like just the conversations you had as a kid with other kids. Like we were aware of others' differences, but it didn't matter. Like it wasn't we didn't take it personal that someone was different and we were interacting with them. Like that's so and so, she's this type of person, or this so and so, he's this type of person. But it didn't matter because they were just your friends and you could just share these differences. But they were always all exciting. Like even the movies we watch right now they might be centered around these characters that is something strange about them. Like they're super strange, but that's why we like it. That's why we're tuned in because they're unapologetically being themselves, or they're portraying that in the movie or the story. And we don't always do that in our own story. We concede. We say, "Oh, I got to be more like this person. I got to hide who I am because this person might be offended or that." Instead of just staying true to who we are. I mean, and I'm not saying offend people on purpose. Like, be who you are, and try not to, but be who you are. And like Sis said, trust the light within you.
Yeah, and see again, that's it's I'm glad of the path that we've taken on this journey. And again, the darkness is only within you. That's it. And that's part of the point that you're making when we talk about the other people. See, again, the relationship that you and I have, you were able to bring light to me that I would not have witnessed had I not accepted you for who you are. But that still has nothing to do with the darkness or the light within myself. And that's the point. And that's the reason why, again, I like still the story that I talk about, me sitting next to my wife and my friends, is that there was maybe in my own mind, I wanted to be what I felt like as free as them. What I felt like was as joyous as them. And again, now I dimmed the light that I had because I felt like I wasn't okay already. I didn't have any problems at first. I didn't have any um I was shining like a light doing exactly what I was doing. And I looked at somebody else and dimmed my own because of whatever reason, right? And so again, I bring it back to you. Like the darkness is only in you, and you not allowing yourself to explore and see how you will feel about anything, but also have a bit of acceptance with it, have a bit of love in those things. Of course, if it's of you, is an egregious act. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and what's cool about it is no matter what light we're in, a lot of stuff. We're in the dark about a lot of stuff. There's
Real
a
talk.
lot of unknown no matter what light that we're in, and once we switch to become awareness of this, which was previously unknown, and make it known, we're in a new reality. Now, some people might say you're woke now, but they're only saying that you're woke to the light that they're living, that they've chosen to live. But
Real
it's
talk.
again, there's no right or wrong in the light that you choose to live. Your light doesn't necessarily have to look like my light. Your dark doesn't have to look like my dark, but it's all of the same stuff. It's all of the same making. We get to choose the amounts of light and darkness we accept or prevent, or in our lives, and we get to accept that for everyone else as well. And so the dark shouldn't be feared. The dark shouldn't be looked down upon in any way. Like it's as much as the light is.
And you hit that mug. The question is, are you woke to the light that you want to lead you? Like,
Yeah,
is that simple? Like, are you woke to the light that you say you want to lead you? And nobody can define that for you except for you. And I think again, that's where we lose touch and we dwell in the darkness because we're not we're not seeking to try to dig deeper to see what that really looks like. Like I don't know what that's supposed to look like, and that's what I see most people end up lying at. And even again, just to throw myself out there now, I hated having a black screen today. Still, you know, still, I know. I mean, I hate it. I've been clicking on everything on my computer the whole time, and that's only because of what I've thought about myself in it this entire time. And again, I can hear myself. I can see the green light beeping, showing that I'm talking. I can see all these things, and I also can understand that my point is being, um, you know, put out across the airways like I would like it to. But yet and still, there's still uh, a darkness that's haunting me in a sense in my own mind to prevent me from to be full of joy. And again, when I bring that back home, think about yourself. Think about who you want to be and the way that you perceive that it has to be presented. But understand that because you feel like it has to be presented that way doesn't mean that it's going to be presented that way. Realize that your canvas may look completely different than the way that you imagined it, and learn to love it and adjust. Learn to it, affect the picture in a different way. You know what I mean? Like, learn to accept that you can still make your mark no matter, because again, the point that I'm trying to get to is I only feel the way that I feel because of what I think other people might think about it. Like when you look at this show, like, you get what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
only feel the way that I feel because the way that I think that other people might think about it. And forgetting the point of the show, period. Forgetting what I'm trying to get across, period. And when I realize the truth of the matter, it all comes home. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. Be your own color. I love that. I also want to read, Sis said, children live in the darkness of adolescence until they become adults and realize that it was our parents shining the light on us. And what's cool about that statement is like, it shows how again, everything is both light and dark. So like, when a lot of people look at children, they see nothing but light, just pure joy,
Yeah, real
pure
talk.
light. But it's also true, like children are very much in the dark about a number of things. And so like they're you can say they're blinded in certain things, but depending on the perception of it, of how you look at it, it's either light or dark, but it's still a good thing. And that's one of the main things I want to stress just within this is that we don't have to fear the dark. We don't have to fear the unknown. We can embrace it. We could use it to our advantage because again, within it, we're able to tap into the abundance of like again, I don't know if people can understand the number of infinite or unlimited. I can't even understand. I can't even begin to understand it. But if we tap into that, there are so many ways to bring forth whatever we want. So whatever problem we think we have, spend some time in the dark and just sit quietly in the dark and let your imagination go to work. You can direct it if you want to, or you can ask for guidance for it to be directed, because those unconscious pieces that are within us, they want to be conscious, and so they're going to bombard you with every good idea based on your intention.
And I'll go even go far as to say this, that they're not unconscious, you're just oblivious to them. And the reason why I say that is because having a kid shows you that over and over again.
Yeah.
And just to kind of give you an example, you are 100% right when you said when people see kids, all they see is light. When I see kids, and most, like, especially if you're the parent of the kid, every parent is always glowing of their kid except for the darkness that they see, not recognizing that it's the darkness that's within it, because the kid is only displaying, like you said, what they've witnessed from the light that you've, or the darkness that you've given them. And the biggest lesson that I've been able to learn from having my kids is every single time they showed me the darkness that I'm resistant to, that I might get on them about, it's a check on myself to say, well, what is this in me and how does it make sense? Like, How does it make sense, and why does it make sense, and why am I unconscious about it? Why do I not recognize it? Why am I shunning this and acting like it's not there? But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, so check this out, which is a great representation just about all of this. So, like I said before the show, when the show first started, I've been thinking about this. I've been contemplating this topic for a while, just trying to flesh it out because I'm amazed by this whole concept, how I once saw the darkness and just how I see it now, and the stuff that's coming out even from me within this episode, I had not known before, and again like. So it's not like I can't speak for you. I'll just speak for me. It's not that I'm sharing things that I know. I'm sharing what's within that's wanting to come out from the focal point of the gift of the darkness. So again, like what's our intention? What's our focus point? Whatever we focus on, that's what allows this unconscious to become conscious, this unknown to become known. And again, embrace it. Don't be afraid to step out to the unknown. Don't be afraid to start speaking, even though you don't really know what you want to say, but you know your intentions of what you want to say. And it's amazing to witness it in real time as it's happening.
Nah, again, I'm with you 100%. And again, that's why I bring my kids into it, because it's been plenty times, bro, where the feeling is not always the best feeling. And again, that's because of a lack of understanding. But I've learned so much for myself about myself and trying to understand my kids, because I know they're only giving back to me what I've been able to give off. And again, just walking around unconscious like that. And again, we've practiced for our lives, for how long you've been alive, not recognizing things that we don't feel like is of us, or we don't want to associate with, or we want to disconnect from. But there is practice in taking a second and noticing yourself, digging deep within, and that uncomfortable, understanding why you feel uncomfortable with it, but it's still a part of you. It helps you to grow exponentially in so many different ways, bro. And I know that for a fact. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and this is why it's always said to live in the now moment, because in the now, this is when you can tap into all of this, because you're not trying to hold on to something that was there or something in the future that does not exist. But whatever moment you're living in, the future or reality will catch up to again. And again, that's why people also say to forgive, because anything that happened is just within you anyway. So like you're not apart from anything. Like the image that you see or the experience is not apart from you in any way. And when you realize that in some ways you brought this on yourself, not necessarily for malicious purpose, it could just be to overcome a certain type of energy in this particular lifetime. Like it could be certain things, but once you recognize that it's a gift to yourself, no matter what happens, no matter how terrible it seems of the circumstance that happened to you, if you realize that this is happening for your highest good, you get to tap into that intention and see what that purpose was like, and so that you won't have to experience it anymore because you already fulfilled that purpose. But again, like when you forgive, you let go of that energy. You're not holding it on, making it a part of your new paintings.
So I would go as far as saying, and I know this is what we've been saying the whole show, now is the darkness. And we need to recognize that. Now is your blank canvas. You said the future would catch up to the now. It will become the present. But now is the darkness. And knowing that it doesn't wipe away who you are, what you've been, or what you can accomplish, but it does give you the opportunity to create whatever it is that you want. And so accepting now as the darkness, now as the blank slate, now as the empty canvas, it opens up your doors to infiniteness. And you know, I just love the thought process of that, not only for the people that's listening, but just for myself, because reinforcing that I'm not talking about tomorrow. In this next moment, I can make whatever I want to, as long as I let go of what was just now, is everything to me. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking of like all the new creations that happened from my younger years till now. like not even just the ones I made, but the ones that are just made. Like, you know, you got flat screen TVs. That wasn't even the thing to be conceptualized until you had tube TVs. You know what I mean? Like every part of it is a process, and then you say, oh, okay, how can I enhance this? How can I enhance that? And your life is the same way. Like you might not know what your purpose is or the things that you love unless you take the steps to start loving the things that you have in your life now. And it becomes a process like, oh, how can I enhance this? Now let me go over here and try this. I would have never thought I could do this. I would have never thought of being this type of person. But when you step out into that unknown where you can be someone you've never been, then you can be someone you've never been if you so choose.
You know, it's funny. You made me think of one day, not too long ago. We were in the car, and Brody was just going, "So, Dad, you know, somebody right now just had a baby right now. You know, somebody just created a new show like right now, Dad. You know." So he started naming all of these things, and he was saying like, "Right now, it just happened like right now. It just happened right now." And I was like, "You know what, bro? It is all happening right now." And you know, to that point, like you are happening right now. We are happening right now. And whatever it is you want can happen right now. You just have to know it. And I know we at the end, man. I just had to say that because you made me think about that. I want to shout out to Kamaria too. You have been happening right now today. You have been, you know, helping guide us through realize our perfection, and we hope that we do the same for you. And she said, we have to appreciate evolution. There lies the solution of your greatness. And again, she just said that right now, just so y'all know. And I just want to tell everybody that we're grateful for everybody that joins us every single time we do a show. Because without y'all, we wouldn't be here. We'd be doing something. We probably wouldn't be here, but we, you know, definitely would be doing something. But just to remember that y'all are great. And the only reason you would think that you're not great is if you're looking at somebody else and, you know, saying that you're not them, but you need to look within. You know, that's what this show was about. And we do understand that within is unknown and it might seem dark, but you are with you 100% of the time, every single day. And you have the wherewithal and all the opportunity in the world to dig deep and look within yourself and learn yourself better than anybody else can learn you. So that way it is no darkness, but as long as it's dark, you got something to grow on. And Jay, you can go ahead and get ready and take us up out of here, baby.
Yeah, real quick, I want to shout out what Robert Clay said. Shout out to my father. He said everything is first worked out in the unseen ideal realm before it appears in tangible form. The realm of the unseen is the realm of cause. The realm of the seen is the realm of effect. Thoughts are causes and conditions are effect. Yes, indeed. And so, yeah, so I appreciate everybody again, like Troy said, for rocking with us. If you found this helpful, hit the share button, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And just remember, you're a perfect creation made by a perfect creator. So you might as well accept your perfection and enter perfect mode.
Yeah.
If I reminded you that you are perfect, would you argue me down or step into your perfection? Welcome to Perfect Mode, where there are no excuses, no expectations, and we explore the world without limitations. I'm JClay, rapper, the spiritual teacher, with my co-host Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. Let's be real, so let's be perfect. Everything, anything, many things,